Hello, my name is Shutley, and welcome back for another episode of richest in Supreme Rule Ultimate. And in previous episode we left off at the end of November. So now it's 1st of January, so we'll skip it a little bit forward. We have built up the synthetic plants over here, so that actually increased our rubber production quite nicely. So we don't need to buy any. Of course, the production cost is a bit high, so there's something to say about that. So we probably won't be selling much of it. Actually, probably shouldn't be selling any of it. Let's keep it at about 1800. Or rather, we can just make sure that we don't sell any. We can build up a bit of reserve. For the time being, anyway. But yeah, that's now set up. We are also setting up, like I set up the expansion over here so that we can expand the rubber production if need be. But right now, I don't think we should. Now, we have reached 3.1% unemployment. The GDP is over 1700, so GDP per capita is actually going up quite nicely. We did actually buy a little bit of rubber from Russia before we completed that. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of shuffling. Oh, there we go. We got a research on the commercial nuclear power. Good. So we build nuclear power plants. UK wants to... No, I'm not going to buy rubber anymore. I'm producing a whole lot I need. Anyway, so... I did set up most of the combat engineers down here into the rubber plantation area, just so that... Because we're not building anything right now over here, and the problem is, like, we don't have a lot of manpower to build with. You want to buy metal ore? Sure. So what I'm going to be doing, though, is I'm going to be increasing the domestic prices of various things a bit higher. Let's get you back to 75%. Food can be about... We'll get you to 70%. Then petroleum, I'm going to increase to about 100%. From the production cost. And then domestic price for electricity. 80% is, well, we could probably lower that, or lower the consumption of electricity a little bit, so get that to 100. Consumer goods, well, you get a decent bit of money from selling to domestic markets, actually. So that's not too bad. We got almost enough money to pay off another loan. I have not paid any of the loans in the time skip, so I'm not cheating. Well, we wouldn't necessarily be cheating, but I've not fooled you in that regard. We are going to be getting the advanced industrial production, because that's actually going to unlock a lot of things, which some of which we do want, and plus we can't trade this, so we kind of have to research this anyway, and it's going to get us to next era, so that's going to be quite nice as well. But at least, now that we're not building anything, we are not spending any money on that, so we actually have a pretty decent profit per day. And we still, well, agriculture, we get an okay amount of money there. And it's a lot more stable selling right now because I've taken control of it myself. Of course, it's still selling a lot of the kind of backlog that we had while the AI was in control. So there's that. So it's kind of fluctuating from time to... Oh, wow, we just sold 200,000 tons. How much was that? 100? Okay, yeah, that was a pretty good amount of money. Slovenia and Finland are allied. Okay, I was not expecting that. I do admit, I was not expecting that. And our domestic approval rating is going to be dropping. Oh, actually, no, the GDP. Oh. Interesting. Is it going up or down? It is going down right now. Inflation is going down a little bit, I suppose. Or the... Like the inflation, well, yeah, the inflation is kind of going down, I suppose. It's still relatively high, admittedly, but I'm gonna try to make sure that we don't go below 3% unemployment, because that's when you start getting into problems of like not having enough people to work, so the production cost will climb up very high. I'm not gonna buy more rubber, thank you very much, Russia. I think what we're gonna do is we are gonna get to 6 billion. Let's get you down that way. I believe we got another... Yeah, we got another tank there. Where do I want you? Suppose we got someone... Oh, right, we don't have anyone over here. Send you to protect the airfield. In case Angola attacks. They might not, to be fair. Do we... Oh, right, the other Congo. We don't actually have a crossing point. Well, no, we do have there. Never mind. We don't have it over here on this portion of the river. Just on the other side. Right, I think we've got enough money to pay off one of the loans. Our interest rate has actually dropped quite significantly for the new loans. We just want to pay off the loans with the highest rate, I think. Which is, for example, that one. So that is going to reduce the daily cost a little bit. Plus, it's going to increase our credit rating a decent bit. I mean, our credit rating is actually pretty good. And we still got about 19... Oh, wow, we got 90... Oh, okay, yeah, we got 90 billion in the debt still. It's a bit more than I expected. Actually, it's actually a bit less than I expected. But yeah, I suppose we were at 23, weren't we, before? So that would make sense. But there hasn't been any new wars declared or anything like that, since it is on relatively peaceful world. How's the military production? So it's still... The production cost is really high. For industrial goods, we are actually selling some. I'm keeping a little bit for myself in case I need to produce things and that sort of stuff. So I'll at least have a bit of a reserve. And it's also a bit of a cash reserve, like if we need to sell it quickly, we can make some cash. Or if we need a lot of money real quick, we can just sell some of that to get some cash. Then... Consumer goods, we might want to get a tiny bit of stockpile going. I'm not going to save much of it, because we kind of need to sell the consumer goods to make sure that our economy is actually running. Although the consumer goods price is really high. I know that we are kind of out of workers, but I'm still going to buy or build one more of these. So there's 3 industrial goods factories and 3 consumer goods factories in that location. Of course, how is the electricity doing? I mean, we do need to buy a decent bit, but the electricity price is quite low, so maybe we shouldn't worry about the electricity production that much. As long as we don't get into a war against all the electricity producers in the world, which would be... Russia is actually the biggest exporter according to this, but of course that might not have every nation. Well, let's see. It is still Russia. France is also pretty high. But yeah, once we get that one completed, that's going to give us a bit of an extra... So I do have 2 tanks over there guarding that, but of course our tanks aren't necessarily that great. I wonder if we are going to... Well, actually, what sort of units could we design, I wonder? There's some anti-tank guns, infantry, there's the... Oh, there's the foxholes, which are mediocre. They're not great, they're not necessarily completely awful, but they're not great. Elite guards, on the other hand, we might want to get that one before we get the industrial production. Because the elite guards, I mean, even though their skills aren't that great, it is a really good infantry, especially early on, to assault places. And of course, if we can get our garrison levels up a little bit, then we'll be able to defend fairly well. Of course, we don't know what garrison levels the enemies have. Come to think of it, so, well, potential enemies. Let's just say neighbors. Still need 100 days for the underwater petroleum extraction, but, like, right now our economy is still holding alright, although we are constructing. It's only 8 million per day, actually, expenses. And once we get that built, the amount of profit that we can get from that is quite massive. So the GDP is still dropping a little bit. It's still 1,750. Inflation is still 11.3%. Like overall, I'm pretty sure the economy will be growing, but the effects might be somewhat limited for a little while. And credit rating is now 100%. Okay. Oh right, I forgot that it goes up to like 150%. Or does it go all the way to 200? Anyway, it does go quite a bit higher than just 100%. And we are still... I might want to buy another tech from Russia in the meanwhile. Something that would help us. There's a communication, intelligence efficiency, military GPS, nuclear weapons research. Probably don't need that one. X-ray, that would also take us closer to there. Let's have a look. Is this science? Something that would benefit us? Not necessarily directly. Improved aircraft avionics would be okay. I'll take that one. You don't actually take a lot of extra for that either, so that's good. Oh right, because everyone starts with a debt. A lot of them have quite notable debt to start with. Let's have a look at the... Actually, in terms of money... The world's, and so who is the richest? Probably China. No, China is actually down there. Is it USA? Yeah, it's USA. 300 billion in the treasury. So they have about 100 times what we have right now. And if we have a look at GDP per capita, Qatar, Luxembourg, Norway, Canada, Equatorial Guinea, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates. So USA is in the top 10. And we got 1700, so we are probably in... Yeah, we're in the lower half. Right there. Cambodia has slightly... Well, it has practically the same, actually. If we have a look at in terms of debt, though, USA has 8 trillion, closer to 9 trillion. So there's a handful of, well, more than a handful, a few dozen nations that have no debt at all, including Angola. Oh, and there's some nations that have a little bit, but we are where we have what 19 billion. So we should be somewhere around here. Yeah, there we are. Anyway, we've got some diplomatic offers. People want to buy our metal ores. I'll let that. Well, I will do that. Okay, so have we got any more troops there? Rather, are we training any more troops here? We are. We've got one more tank, which is going to be completed in 2 days. And then, of course, these troops are not really building anything right now. How is the unemployment now? 3.1% still. So inflation is still relatively high. Oh, there we go. We got the tank done. There's no connections over there, but I think I'm going to send you to Kikwit. Over there. There's a bit of a, like, if the enemy tries to attack here, we can kind of send the tank to intercept. Because one tank is not going to be enough. We're going to have to get some proper infantry as well. Which is why getting, I mean, the foxholes might be okay to be kind of an ablative armor for the tanks, I suppose. Or something like that. So we could recharge them. Well, let's get the elite guards. We're going to use them as a bit of, a force to defend in cities or that sort of stuff. Or in key cities, at least. And we are now making pretty good cash again. Is this completed? No, it's still 29 days away. Well, in practice, probably going to be 25 days away. If we are getting it, then that's still 3 months away for the underwater petroleum. Actually, speaking of petroleum, how much do we... We got a fair bit of extra production. Timber, we also got pretty good production. We're also selling a massive amount. Oh, let's lower the minimum price to 60. It may lower the total price, of course, or market price over time, but like we're not the only seller of this, so it shouldn't have that massive impact. It's still going to be okay amount of money nonetheless. So electricity is now over 12 million, but at the same time agriculture is 47, sometimes even higher. Timber is 23. Consumer goods is 22. Because consumer goods, we're not selling all that much. We're selling less than 1,000 tons. So that kind of has a bit of an impact there. Of course, there is also the production cost is relatively high. So overall, I mean, to be fair... Interesting. So yeah, for each ton that we sell for the domestic market, we cover the cost for about 2 tons of consumer goods produced, and then whatever we sell into the global market is just extra profit after that. Of course, if we sell... I mean, in theory, if we were to lower the domestic price a little bit on this, we would probably make more money selling the stuff to the domestic market, but at the same time, we probably need to do a bit of calculating in here to figure out the... Like, would it actually be more profitable to just sell to the domestic markets and produce as much as the domestic markets take? Assuming that the price would be something like this, because that would... Because if we lower the price, it's still going to lower the amount of money that we get from the domestic market in a way. Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure if we would. It would increase the consumption, but would it increase the consumption enough, is my question. Anyway, we got the electricity. Well, yeah, we don't actually have all that much electricity. The consumer goods factory is almost done, and we could probably pay off another debt. I'm just going to wait until we reach 600 or 6 billion. Although I suppose we're close enough. What is the highest interest rate? 5%. We'll pay off that one then. So now the new interest rate would be only 3.9%, which is around where we started with the interests on the loans. Or the bonds, so that's at least good. We only got 3 bonds left. So that would make us about 15 billion in debt. Somewhere around there. And there we go. Now we got the consumer goods factory. The unemployment, it's gone up to 3.2% now. So, well, once this factory is up and running, in about 2 days the unemployment is probably going to drop to 3.1, maybe even 3. You see a little bit of stuff over there. Right, did I send in the recon unit somewhere? I'm sure that I did send it somewhere, I just don't remember where. It's kind of a problem though. Right, so we're not producing any troops here. What sort of units do we have available? There's light infantry, but that seems like kind of a rubbish. The combat engineer is okay. Get some artillery. They're not necessarily the best, to be fair. We'll get few. Because supply trucks is something that we... Do we have access to the supply trucks? We do. Because we'll get a couple of these as well. Now, to be fair, those rocket launchers, they have a really small range. In comparison, so they can maybe shoot to the surrounding stuff. Of course, if you have some infantry or something like that protecting them, then it should be alright. Or they should be able to survive at least. No, I don't know about the alright portion though. Okay, so the GDP per capita is going up again. Slightly. 1756. So if we want to increase that all the way up, we're going to need a lot more. But hey, it's a good start. And actually, how much is the... Unemployment is still 3.2%, so we could produce more. And the rubber production cost is quite high, so I'm going to try to get another rubber plantation or 2 in here. Move the engineers in there, so that's going to build up a little bit faster. How are we doing in terms of industrial goods? Now that we're going to increase the production or construction, it's going to be a small issue, but it's manageable. We're selling some... metal ores back to, or again to Canada and Australia. Speaking of which, we could still increase the production of metal ores. I know that there was some options down here, wasn't there? Well, we already built that one up all the way. Ooh, another thing that we could do is get a coal mine somewhere, but that would have to be here. That may be a problem. What about the uranium mines? I know that it wouldn't necessarily be profitable anytime soon, so that would be a location. So we could make kind of an industrial area here, or mining area down here at some point. Albania and Austria are allied. Okay. Again, not exactly what I expected. But I suppose those are at least a little bit closer than, for example... Well, actually, Albania is there, Austria is down there, so they're not particularly close, but like within an aircraft range, more or less. Whereas, was it Serbia and Finland? That's a bit of a longer distance. Let's actually have a look. So you are indeed... No, it was Slovenia. Okay, well, it's slightly closer then, but yeah, it's marginally closer, let's just put it that way. I'm slowly getting the money back though, or up again. Trying to pay off the loans as soon as possible, so we don't need to pay the interest rates anymore. Not that the interest rate isn't really... Or not that the interest rate is particularly terrible though. I actually wonder, where was the... So there's a lot of oil there. How good, we got 44% supply in here. Another thing that I suppose I should do is get... Ooh. I want to maybe get a seapier over here, or maybe even a port. For the extra supply for this area. Because we do have the supply over here, and it does travel along there. How much does Angola hate me? They are hostile, so, they do hate me. If I want to start funding opposition, I could. That would allow us to maybe declare war on them at some point, but I don't know if my military is really up to scratch yet. We'll probably need a fair bit of troops to kind of clear that one first, then protect on the border, and then slowly start pushing south. But Angola is a large nation. Of course, something like a Rwanda would be probably easier. Well, not really that much easier, of course. Do they really have that much resources that we need? A little bit of agriculture. Honestly, that's about it. Speaking of agriculture, our agriculture... Ooh, the price has dropped a... No, actually, I think the price has gone up. Still selling a lot. We could increase the numbers, though. How is the unemployment doing now? It's 3.1%. We're getting the plantations here. I'm going to wait until we have the plantations up to make sure that we don't, well, lower the workforce too much. Our population, on the other hand, is almost 67 million now, so that has been going up. Let's actually have a look at the numbers. So there's still more emigration than immigration, but the births to deaths difference there is 1.2 million. So it's about 1 million per year growth, according to these predictions. They're not necessarily accurate because there's a lot of things that will happen over the year that will affect it. But yeah, it's not going too badly. I actually wonder, in terms of population, I mean, China is the biggest one, right? Yeah, and then India. USA is the third largest. Oh. Russia is actually quite a bit far down. I suppose, yeah, Russia did lose a lot of land after Soviet Union fell, so that probably lowered the population a decent chunk. Wait, Ukraine and all that. But yeah, we are, well actually, we're surprisingly high on the list here. We've got more population than France, or UK. Oh, we're just about on the third page. Okay. Well, maybe we will get a bit higher, especially if we conquer some lands. But again, this is not necessarily going to be a very military-oriented playthrough. But we are, of course, preparing for war in case we need to defend our nation. Now, let's have a look at the rubber production. It was... okay, so we did reduce the cost of producing our rubber. The synthetic rubber is usually quite expensive to make. That's kind of the problem. And that... oh, that might be the reason why everyone was selling the rubber with so high prices. Because they're using the synthetic rubber, which is not selling very well on the international market. So they just want to get rid of the excess production as much as possible. It kind of makes sense. Okay, 4.9 billion. So almost enough to pay off another bond. We actually got really good income right now. Agriculture consumer goods is 100 million. Oh, wow. I like the sound of that. Not 100 billion, 100 million. Yeah, no, it's 180. Has the price gone up even further? No, not really. But since we are basically covering the production costs for these, we are domestic sales. Of course, not necessarily all the resource costs for them. But anyway, it's still a pretty good price over there for domestic markets. So we don't need to worry about the production costs of the consumer goods right now. As long as we keep it around this ratio where we about sell half of what we produce. Or, well, roughly half. Because we're taking a little bit into the reserves here just in case. You know, if there's some problems or population grows quickly, so we don't necessarily need to be buying in immediately. We'll buy some eventually. But yeah, we got pretty good money now. We got a few more trade deals here. Some metal ore, yeah. I'm okay with selling that. Now, how is the unemployment doing? It's 3%, so we should probably not be building new things quite yet. Just let the population grow. Although our GDP has risen up to 1800 now. Well, that is a pretty good increase there. That's for sure. Another 200 million. Okay, I think we can pay off another loan. Pay that one. So the next interest rate would be 3.8%. That's actually relatively low compared to what it was at some point. It's still complaining about our noble debt level, but we'll get rid of that eventually. Actually, probably next episode. But anyway, actually no, we're not out of time yet. Although I suspect that we are... oh yeah, a minute away. Well, let's just let the time roll until then. But yeah, so far so good. The domestic goods market is doing rather well. I'm actually... we can't cover quite the production costs with just the agriculture or domestic sales right now. I mean, technically if we... well, no, we produce so much in comparison. I mean, we're still getting good money from the sales, and the like, selling to the international markets will still give us the profit. It just might not be quite as high as it could be. But all things considered, it's not bad. And then metal ore, I think... I know that I did say that I should not be building right now, but I'm kind of tempted to maybe get another ore mine just somewhere. We've got 6 of them right now. There's a lot of areas down here on the east that we could build up to. Not so much on the west. Okay. So maybe the mining area down here wouldn't be a bad idea. We just need to figure out where is the limit between coal and metals. But that would be perfect for both. Let's go ahead and build the industrial complex there already. Where is the industrial? There you are. It's relatively cheap. It should be alright. But now we are unfortunately out of time for this episode, so if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Also check out the links down below in the description. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.